Are down this whole time.
I just tried them this morning.
We played, but we never got around to it. We should.
30.
But, yeah.
You got stun gun stories today?
Me? Or
Yeah,
Victoria?
I got a couple.
Do you really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, I guess I have one. I have one from today, this morning. The dog walk. I walked the dog, and this fucking guy, man.
Here we go.
Okay.
The dog or? All right.
The owner.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is gonna be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Radio 8.
Oh, gang, how was your weekend?
Mine
What
didn't
up?
have much to it.
No?
No, I basically had to sit in bed for 3 days.
Isolated. Man is a team player. He will not come out if he's sick. He doesn't want to get anyone else sick. And I don't know how you do it, honestly. I mean, you have a big room and everything's
Well,
there that you need.
I was going a little crazy. I went.
Made you feel like you can't come downstairs.
I
or anything
know,
like
but
that.
what's the point in getting everybody else sick? Then everybody else is gonna be going through. This was a really bad cold.
Was
and
it?
I know a few people that have gotten the same cold.
Uh-huh. Today is
Months. There's like a new spell of them.
Mhm.
But this one was. I know 3 people who had the same thing that I had,
right.
where it's not much to do with your nose or your eyes or anything like that. It was just basically a cough. Bad. Like, and I didn't want to give it to anyone because it really sucked. This one was bad.
Where do you want to start off? You want to save the stun gun stories for a little bit later in the show? Because we got Ryzen 5 to talk about, UFC on Fox 24 to talk about, Victory FC 56 to talk about, Bellator 177 to talk about. Hell, it was even LFA 9. I mean, there was a lot of MMA this past weekend,
Yeah.
along with NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. The English Premier League is winding down. Big win for Manchester United over Chelsea. I can go in any direction y'all want. Of course, the meat and potatoes is going to be UFC on Fox 24 with Demetrius Johnson defending his belt against Wilson Hayes. Also, big upset. That's what we call him in MMA, even though we know that when 2 men enter the cage and they're the third fight from the top, they're pretty damn good, so anything can happen. But no, seriously, Jacare Souza was about a minus 300 favorite, minus 250 favorite against Robert Whittaker, and Robert Whittaker pieced him up. Now, hours before that, Jacare luckily just signed a new 8-fight contract. It's not like baseball or basketball where it's guaranteed. That thing can go away pretty quick too. But still, a little bit security for him. He was happy. I was happy to see the UFC hold on to a free agent because lately, I'm like, bring it.
Well, the one thing that stood out the most for me over the weekend, I loved the UFC card. I thought it was a great card, but the Ryzen card was so much fun. And what I liked about it was it brought back that old Pride feeling, even hearing the voices back again. But what I liked about it is if you look at the card, it wasn't really like superstar powered. It was just good matchmaking. It was just a fun environment. So I enjoyed watching that. But I know everybody wants to talk about the UFC,
Right.
and I want to touch on that Jacare fight. Robert Whittaker took his best punch and was put in the worst position he could be put in.
His back was
He had
taken.
Jacare on his back, and he was able to be calm, get through it, work through it, turn the tables on Jacare. Man, that a lot of people are saying like a star was born, but I think we all saw this in the previous matchup. He's really going to be tough for a lot of people. Nobody really does that to Jacare, but he did.
Did you think that stoppage was early?
I think it was one of those weird stoppages where if it would have came 1 second earlier, everybody would have went, makes sense. But because he let it play out a little bit more, Jacare was in a position where when they did stop it, it looked odd, but it was still the correct call.
Well, what I'm hearing more than anything is that it should have still kept going. And I'm thinking, wow, that's bizarre because I'm one of the guys that and was right time. And here's the funny thing, and I didn't want to be a smartass because I think, what these athletes do to put themselves out there like that, when they lose, it's one of the most tragic things. But it happened in a few other fights. And I was going to tweet it, of course, being a smartass, but you know how that thing just takes off, and the next thing you know, people think you're being an asshole, and that's not what I'm trying to be. So I figured I'll just wait for MMA Junkie Radio on Monday so I can explain it. There was a couple portions during the event, but we'll start with that one, Jacare and Whittaker. Way before Whittaker finished with Souza, I guarantee you that if my point is, fighters get pretty fucked up along the way. They get their brains rattled. They get they start seeing stars. They start, we've heard the triple vision. Isn't that what Kevin Lee said the other day?
Yeah.
They ain't gonna remember the fucking month. So going back to Weidman, and should that have been stopped on what the doctor's recommendation was? I don't know. Be prepared for fighters to be in that type of. Once they calm down, of course, their brain resets, and yes, they can tell you the name of the kids, the month, this, that, whatever, unless they've been viciously knocked out. But during the course of the fight, like I said at the beginning, Jacare wouldn't have been able to tell you what month it was, but he was still fighting back. He still had some moments. In fact, he almost recovered fully. But how about Whittaker?
Stood up.
What an assassin. I mean, instead of rushing, he composed himself. He came and he made every strike count. If I'm not mistaken, he was 50% mark on the accuracy of his strikes, and a lot of them was heavy artillery. That was a great performance by Robert Whittaker over a tough guy in Jacare Souza, a legend of combat sports. When you combine what he's done in MMA, Strikeforce middleweight champ, ranked UFC fighter, these win streaks he's had, and then his submission grappling career, holy cow. So I was just really, really stoked to watch the fight and see them. Yamasaki always said his fighters, and you can't tell what he's doing. He's saying he's getting his best look possible. And of course, he does have the best, the best seat in the house. So he is the one that's going to ultimately make the determination. I wish he'd be a little more aggressive in his stoppages, not necessarily on this one, but on previous ones that I've mentioned before. Just go in there and actually, if you have to, tackle the fighter so that they don't take an extra blow. But regardless, he made a call. I thought it was right at the right time because it was going to really.
If this dude ever tried MMA, he could be good. And you saw him try it and get better with every fight. Really take a liking to the wrestling, the striking. And so for him to put that game together and be competitive where he's at, man, that's a difficult thing to do. I don't care if grappling's a part of mixed martial arts, but it ain't everything. But there's a lot of good grapplers that have come over and haven't been able to translate to MMA. So I have a lot of respect for him. I think he will be back. I think he'll always be a dangerous guy. But that was one hell of a knockout.
It sure was. Rose Namajunas defeated Michelle Waterson. I think by the time the fight went, Waterson was a slight favorite. I don't want to call it an upset. It was basically a pick'em. But Namajunas looked good, man. I mean, like, she struck well. She grappled well. And, she even put on a little bit of a show. She was kind of letting Michelle know, keep coming with the linear kicks. Let's go. Let's do this. She got the crowd into it. I just thought amazing performance. Pump the brakes a little bit on the title shot because this is just one in a row, Except that what happens is Joanna's kind of been beating everyone else, so everyone else that's in the mix, I think, has received a loss from her, with the exception of the current Andrade matchup that she has. But they have the two that are fighting in Brazil, Kovacevic and Gadelha. So I guess we have to see the result of Andrade and Joanna, and then kind of figure out what's next. But you know me, man. I don't know about a one-fight win streak gets you a title shot. At least two.
It's the men's light heavyweight division.
Kind of, yeah,
kinda
because
the same
Jimmy
thing.
Mano, at least you can go, well, he's won 2, or you can say 4 of 5, 7 of 10, whatever. But at least 2, call it. One isn't a streak, is it? It's
No.
just one
It's just a
fight.
win.
Right. A streak is at least 2 or more. At least, I don't know. I don't look up these
But it's
fucking
an-
words. I've
it's
been
an
using these
interesting
words
division.
for all these years, and sometimes I forget what the hell they mean. But I'm pretty sure streak means at least more than one.
There's and it's really a testament to what Joanna's been able to do, because when you think about it, I could see why people want to see that fight. I still think she's a little bit away skill-wise from contending with Joanna. I feel like Joanna will just pick her apart.
Maybe, man. Yeah. I don't know. She looked good. Congrats to her. And, of course, Demetrius Johnson, pound for pound, #1 athlete in the sport. Defeated Wilson Hayes. Probably didn't do anything wrong in his fight, too. He was in there for almost 3 complete rounds, and he basically dissected that man.
It's one of the best performances I've ever seen in the cage.
Yeah.
He was fast. He
To
was
the
using
body,
all
to
his
the head,
angles,
wrestling.
head, body.
And then he submits a guy that's never
everything.
been submitted.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
And wasn't even huffing or puffing or nothing.
I know. Yeah, that was something else.
And
That's his 10th title defense, folks. He won the title back in 2012, I think, or 11, and he hasn't lost since then. 10 title defenses. 4 of his last 6 have been finishes. For a while, his kryptonite was in the pound-for-pound talk. It was, well, he doesn't finish anyone. But 4 of his last 6 have been finishes, and again, they've been as impressive as what we saw, submitting a legit black belt with an armbar.
It's all been Demetrius Johnson. How about a little love for Matt Hume, though? It's difficult to keep a fighter motivated when they're that successful, right? It's easy to just believe, man, I'm just a shit. I don't got to train. But somehow he keeps Demetrius Johnson motivated, and he always looks different in every fight. It's crazy, man. That guy's a great coach.
Yeah. Alexander Volkov defeated Roy Nelson. Tom D defeated Patrick Williams. I'm not going to try his last name. Rashid Magomedov, who just became a free agent, defeated Bobby Green. Split decision there. Bobby, I thought, fought better than I expected him to because he hasn't fought much the last few years. Magomedov is a guy that I wish would just be a little bit more active, and he was at times during this fight. And when he was, I believe that's what was winning him the fight. But that's been one frustrating thing with him. But he's got a pretty impressive skill set. Tim Elliott defeated Louis Smolka. Bummed for Louis because you come on the show, we meet you, and you spend half an hour with us, man. It's hard not to like you and cheer for you. But Tim Elliott's also stopped by. This was a tough fight to watch. I just wanted them both to do well, but Smolka's the one that's kind of on a 3-fight losing streak after starting off undefeated and with a lot of buzz.
Smolka had his moments. I mean, I think
He did.
I think he's still improving.
He did.
But yeah, you're right. And Tim Elliott, I think sometimes he can be his own worst enemy. I think if he just kind of buckled down a little bit, he would probably get through.
Was he gassing, or is that just his body
I think that's just the way he
demeanor
fights.
or
He
the
puts
body
his
language?
arms down.
Yeah.
He just likes to fight that way.
It looks like he's ready. Small little gust of wind could knock him over, and then all of a sudden he's the one getting a takedown. Aljamain Sterling defeated Augusto Mendez. Unanimous decision there. Devin Clark, Anthony Smith, Zach Cummings, and Ketlin Vieira also got wins. Today's show is going to be fun. We're going to talk to Sabina Mazo, who got a highlight reel win over at LFA9. And we're also going to talk to Brandon Moreno, both of them in the second hour. So right now I want to jump on calls. These lines are jamming up here. 866-522-2846 if you want to join the fray just like them. We'll start things off with Cousin Nick in Iowa. What's up, Cousin Nick? How you doing?
Doing very well, gentlemen. How you doing today?
Good, man.
Right on. I just want to jump right into it. I know it's going to be a busy day. I'm a little late, but happy 10-year anniversary. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then on that, 10 title defenses for Mighty Mouse. I don't know who they're going to get next for an opponent. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think he should get number 11 at flyweight before even sniffing anything at bantamweight.
And I think that's the plan. I really think he's going to do that. He wants to not only break the record, but I think he's motivated by making the record, setting the bar high so that maybe he can hold on. All records are meant to be broken. I'm sure it'll be broken one day, but he wants to set it high so that at least it lasts maybe our lifetime or his active athlete career lifetime.
Well, what's more important, the record or money?
Well, that's the thing. You're right. Cody Garbrandt is teased going down, but I think Dana's saying, kid, you got to defend that bantamweight first before you do all that. So that fight may be brewing at some point, or maybe break the record, then go up and test yourself at 35, and then come back.
If he has the patience, I would do that.
Because Anderson Silva had 10 defenses, but people forget he also had the win over Griffin and Irvin sprinkled in amongst those 10. So he was able to kind of like float around and do great stuff in another division and then still come back and defend.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I feel like that brass ring, that record breaking, it's right there. I would try to go for that. And then, get in some money fights. Pay this man. Give him all the money. Mighty Mouse, he's the most legitimate champion they have at a time when, boy, I'll tell you, their belts are losing value left and right.
Yeah, no doubt. Speaking of belts, sounds like Dana's going to get him his other belts. Now, how many? I don't know. Yeah. He's still lacking 8 more. I think he wants 1 for every defense. But from what I heard years ago, they stop at 3 or they stop at 5.
I think it's 5.
Is it 5?
GSP told us that.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know that you necessarily get all 10. And now, if they want to ship him an extra 5 so he can take his iconic picture, like Money Mayweather and Andre Ward have, okay, cool. I feel you. But I think you only get to keep 5. In fact, they may say, come down here and we'll take the picture here because they may never get them belts back. It's good to hear from you, cousin. It's been a while.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to hear from you guys. I do want to get a quick stun gun that kind of feeds into what we're talking about, and then I'll get out of your hair.
Okay.
And I'll let you judge on whether or not this should get a stun gun. I read something that the ratings for this weren't impressive. It's a constant thing we hear about that, people don't like Mighty Mouse or they're not tuning in for Mighty Mouse. He needs to promote himself better. Even a couple junkies online have said, well, this is the game and blah, blah. I don't buy that for a minute. On Mighty Mouse's resume, next to his name, it says professional fighter. On Dana White's resume, next to his name, it says promoter. If you can't sell Mighty Mouse, you're not a good promoter. You look at his resume, you watch that fight Saturday night. If you can't sell that to people, you're not a good promoter, man. And that's my opinion. I don't buy this whole thing that Mighty Mouse needs to sell himself. He's doing what he needs to do. The UFC needs to step up and take their end of the bargain and do what they need to do and promote this man.
All right, my man. Thanks for the call.
I'll give it to him.
Well, what I'll say is this. I'll meet him 75% of the way. I think the UFC definitely needs to push that a little bit further. Like this weekend, I think there was a strong push around his belts, how long he's been doing this, the record that he was about to break. I think there could have been more of that. But I still feel that there is some of the onus on the athlete. Here's why. Because if the promotion doesn't do it, guess what? The athlete just gets older and older. And next thing you know, somebody beats him and he's no longer there. So you're also the one on and give you a new wave of a push. You know what I mean? But I think some of it's got to be on you. Because let's just say they go, nah, we're not going to do it. And so then Mighty Mouse becomes 33 and 34 and 35. And then he retires. And then that's that. All that money making, all those years of money making kind of went away. So I think there could be a little bit more from every athlete, not just Mighty Mouse.
I just look at it as if he were to leave that division, what would it look like? The division would be in
fun.
trouble. Well, because you have new faces, right? But really, I think it would take a huge hit, and I wouldn't want that to happen. So I'd try and build that guy up even more.
Yeah. Well, I think he took a huge step this week. It's just that the ratings didn't reflect it. But I thought this weekend there was a lot of love from media and other athletes, especially some of the world champions that are talking about him. Let's go to Marco in Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco. Happy Easter, dudes.
Same to you.
You too.
I hope you got a lot of eggs from the Eastern Bunny. Let's stun gun the referee Mike England on the Zach Cummings Nate Quarry fight, because was he taking a nap when Nate Quarry went out, man? Like how long it took him, man? That guy was out for like a minute there.
Which fight?
That guy. Up on the fight past prelims, the second Nate Quarry, the guillotine choke, Quarry was out for a minute.
Nathan Coy and Zach Cummings?
I thought he said Nate Quarry.
So did I. It sounded like you said Nate Quarry. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see the fight.
Yeah, I mean.
Did you see the fight, guys?
Bad positioning.
Did you see the fight, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And he hung on to it too long?
Well, he did what he had to do. The guy just didn't get there in time to separate them.
I see.
It just looked bad on TV.
All right.
Yeah, he was. The guy was completely out, and at England, he always have something going on with that dude. He's a new Masagari. There you go. Whatever. Let's all hail the mightiest mouse, the mighty goat. The dude was amazing this freaking weekend. You know how they say when you punch a black belt, he becomes a brown belt, and then you punch him again, a purple belt?
Yeah.
By the time Mighty Mouse was done hitting Wilson Hayes, he looked like a guy paying the 8 fee for the jiu-jitsu class the first day, dude.
Yeah, he looked like Abel Orozco submitting me at Extreme Couture. I just, what the hell? What just hit me? You're right. He just broke him down over the 3 minutes with everything, with body shots, kicks, punches, wrestling.
Wilson never backed off, though. I'll give him that.
Right.
He never backed off.
Yeah, you're right.
The knee at the end of the second round, man, the flying knee to the liver, like he elevated it. He collapsed right before the round. And enough accolades for Mighty Mouse, man. Whatever comes to him, he deserves it. Bobby Knuckles made me look good. Knuckles with the upset. And I'm not just going to gloat. Bobby Knuckles is the man, and I think he's for real, man. I've been telling you. And you know who else is for real? Kevin Gastelum. This undersized 185 is bringing speed and power. And that thing is going to be key for the future of the 185 division. Whether at least you guys catch you next time.
All right, we'll see him. So KG has he's got some violations, alleged violations against him. I gotta wait and see how that one plays out. Metabolites, marijuana metabolites, who knows? I certainly hope it doesn't stop his momentum. He brought up a good point. The undersized fighter is kind of on a roll in certain divisions, and these are two guys who fought at welterweight and were decent welterweights. They really were good welterweights, just that they were suffering from a weight cut. And so now they're moving up and causing havoc. One more, because we're on a roll, and then we'll take our big break. It's Chris from Fresno. What's up, Chris?
What's good? Okay, I didn't want to start off with this point, but I'm just going to say it because the guy, I don't know who called before Marco, but, I mean, I get tired of this people. It's not 100% the and it's not a lower weight class thing, because you tell me who's going to miss Dillashaw Garbrandt, you know what I'm saying? But, it's not – okay, Demetrius Johnson, he's a master of the sport. He's the greatest fighter, I think, of all time. But he's not very edgy, and I'm not saying he's got to be, but, these people can't get all mad like, oh, why isn't he a bigger star, the UFC gets behind, Conor and, Ronda, because these people have something to offer, and the UFC, it's very convenient for them to get behind it and back it up, So, that's my little rant there. But, the Prince of Parlay, that's me, strikes again. I made a little cash on, I didn't end up going with Roy Nelson. I just did a small three-teamer, Demetrius, Rose, and Whitaker. And, play out just like I said, that defense is, phenomenal. I was, starting to sweat a little bit when Jacare took his back, but, he prevailed like he always does. I'm telling you, he's going to crush everybody, except if he fights Michael Bisping. I think Michael Bisping's too clean of a striker, especially with straight punches. And, I think that's the only problem that he's going to have. My question for this weekend, these fights coming up, I'm sure everyone's going to talk about the fights that just happened, but I'm looking ahead a little bit because I want to get my parlays going. Who do you got between Owen St. Preux and, I'm brain farting on his name, Galima, the bald guy, the Muay Thai fighter, you know what I'm talking about?
Hey, Prince, can I interrupt you for a second? How much did you put on your parlay this weekend?
Oh, man, I go small. I put $15 and I pocketed about 65 plus my 15.
I made that same bet, George.
Did you?
Yeah, and I won. How about you?
How much did you win?
How much did you win? 65?
I won 66 and change with my 15, so 80 something altogether.
I think I won 100.
Vince Prue, by the way, fights Marco Rogerio de Lima. Okay, what Goes is getting at is you called in, and this is the one time I was writing stuff down. It says here, Whitaker. It says Chris from Fresno. And I wrote a little star next to Chris because I like Chris. Mm-hmm. It says Whitaker, Nelson, Rose, Johnson, and Elliott. And I circled Nelson because I was like, oh, man, damn. I was rooting for Chris to hit his parlay. But it just so happens, Chris, that you decided not to put Nelson, huh? After telling us you would?
Yeah, and I even got it on my Facebook. You guys got me, Chris Sandstorm. I put my I put my pictures online. So people believe me. But I did have a losing parlay, and I actually did end up going with Volkov. I got the guy, the new guy over Stevens, and I pick. I like to do a small, like a $5 parlay. I like to pick every single fight on the card because you never know, you might just hit. The one guy that screwed me up, man, was Andrew Sanchez getting finished in the third round. Otherwise, I would have had a pretty fat payday. So that kind of got me. But
I want
And who do you like in? We'll finish up here. OSP versus De Lima. Who's your pick there?
Man, I know MMA math, is not really, but Krylov has a win over De Lima and a loss to Owens. I think Owens is going to pull it off, not just because of that, just because, he's unorthodox, and I think he's going to surprise De Lima with the range and just his velocity and his pressure. So I'm getting him, along with a couple favorites, Yeah, but yeah, that's all I got, guys.
Okay, thank you for the call.
I want to go back to something he brought up.
Sure.
And I get where he's coming from with the fighter having to promote themselves. He's right. Demetrius is no Connor. He's no Ronda. He's not the most edgiest of guys. But he's very similar to GSP and Anderson Silva in temperament. And the UFC promoted them very highly. I think there's got to be a middle ground where they can meet.
Yeah, that's why I was saying 75-25 at least. Like, I don't think Demetrius could just sit back and leave it all in the hands of the UFC. I think he has to do something because if the UFC, think about how many athletes they have. All right, they have a young lady named Paige Van Zandt who is probably more popular than 90% of their roster, and I think she's coming off either a loss or two out of three or something like that. But you gonna tell me they're not gonna push her because she's losing? They have to look at the analytics and go, "This is what makes sense." Well, she never really did anything other than show up and look good early on, and there was already a strong push. But then she won some fights, so they rallied behind that push, and then she blew up. So I think at this point is a good time for them to rally behind Demetrius, and that next fight, when he's going for record, make it a big fucking deal is all I'm saying. All right, we're going to take this break. When we come back, we'll go over all the figures from UFC Fight Night, on Fox 24, which is headlined by Demetrius Johnson, Wilson Hayes. We'll tell you the attendance, the bonuses, the gate. You know how those guys, man, they break records everywhere they go. And, of course, we'll continue taking your calls. So get in the queue at 866-522-2846. We'll see you in a few minutes. Stay close. Back.
You gotta help me out. It's all a blur last night.
Let's see. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here are George and Goes.
All right, we're going to do some stun gun stories, and then we'll get back to talking about Demetrius Johnson and his 10th title defense versus Wilson Hayes this past weekend at UFC on Fox 24. The upset of Robert Whittaker over Jacare Souza in the middleweight division. Bobby Knuckles, as they're calling him. And then, of course, Rose Namajunas. She put on a great performance, too. She got a win over Michelle Watterson, and she keeps climbing up the strawweight ladder. All right, Ghost, so what's your stun gun story here on Stun Gun Monday?
Our producer, Victoria, right now, she's going to be coming out to Vegas this Friday.
All right.
And she told me, she goes, I'd love to come see you guys and see the show. And I thought that was so cool. I said, come on down. She's flying in on a Thursday night. And she's going to wake up the next morning on Friday to be here to watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
My stun gun is not for her. It's for Chris Pavona, who was here 2 weeks ago, George. 4 days.
That's right.
And stayed at the Mandalay Bay.
Really?
And didn't make it to our show.
My Bavona. He didn't come by? I remember that. He told us that like 3 months ago.
I got him.
What happened? What did he say? Have you talked to him?
I haven't talked to him yet. Danny talked to him, and Danny said that he gave him, you don't know how crazy it was, or something stupid like that.
Oh, man.
But
not even a knock on the window and just wait?
He was staying here.
Jeez. That is poor. Okay.
So I'm stun gunning him, and then I'm going to stun gun a waitress at a Peruvian restaurant, El Toque de Sabor. I finally went there with Dante the other day.
Yeah.
We walk in, and the waitress puts both the menus on the same side of the table. What does that say?
She thinks you guys are a couple.
She thinks we're a couple, right?
Right.
So when I sat down, all right, this is dumb, and I had to move the thing over. Mm-hmm. So then another waitress came, and I was talking to her, and we were giggling about that. And I told her, hey, the other waitress thought we were a couple, put the thing. She went and told that waitress. So then that waitress came back and apologized to us. Mm-hmm. And she used, and I was okay. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. But she used the excuse that I'm new. I think, like, anybody who's ever been to a restaurant knows how it works.
Right.
So I wasn't buying that excuse. And then
maybe she thought you knew what you wanted.
No, Victoria, nice try. And then when she walked away, she goes, oh, que lástima. What does that mean?
What do you mean, que lástima?
That we're not a couple.
Oh. That's too bad you're not a couple, what she said.
Yeah. So she apologized and then kind of like jabbed me again and then walked away like Antonio Banderas with a big cloud of smoke.
Stun gunner.
So I'm going to get her too.
I want to stun gun anybody that walks their dog without a leash. Now, if you have your own farm and your next closest neighbor is 5 miles away, all right, do what you want. But if you're on a track where there's a trail or a path where there's other known dog walkers, all right, evidenced by the fact that every 50 yards is one of those little poop stations that's got the bags and then the trash can to throw it away. And not only that, but there's bits and pieces of poop from the lazy bastards that forget to pick it up. You're well aware that this can happen. So I walk with mine. He's got a leash. And there's a guy that's just got 2 dogs roaming around, So I kind of stand there and I look at him as if to say, okay, cool, your dogs are awesome. They can control themselves. But now that you see me in the presence of my dog, leash them up, which is what dogs owners usually do. They leash up their dogs, and then you kind of give a nod or a wave, and then boom, you cross each other. Nope, he wouldn't do it. He just kept getting closer and closer. And, of course, Max, who's been attacked by dogs before, is seeing 2 dogs, and, of course, he's thinking, all right, well, if it's on, then it's on, because one of those dogs was big. But seriously, folks, again, I guess if that's what your thing is, your dog is just the best ever, great. But when you see other dogs, you got to leash them up. Because you don't know how dogs are going to – I just turned around. I didn't want to mess around with it. I didn't want to take a chance or anything like that because that dog was big, and I don't care how friendly they are. Once they go up to the 10 level, like Cesar Milan says, you just don't know how the dog's going to react. Yeah. That dog could just come up and sniff Max. Max could still be on the defensive. Max could still have recollections of when he's been attacked. He might be protecting me, right? And then he may say something back to the dog, and then that dog might react. it's not like a human being when where you can say, hey, relax, and talk to them where they can go, all right, I need to calm down. No, they're animals. So even as well as trained as they are, mistakes happen. Of course they fucking happen. Go on YouTube and check out SeaWorld and the bullshit that happens there. Those are highly trained people with highly trained animals. Cesar Millan, I mean, the list could go on and on of animals that have made mistakes in the past, even though they were highly trained. You just don't want to take a chance, so it's just a common courtesy.
Plus, our dog's like Tanner Boyle, right, from the Bad News Bears.
He's feisty.
Yeah, he's feisty.
Yeah. All right, Victoria, you got one?
No, not today.
You got last week's?
I did not have one last week either.
So
I
you're
really
0 for
should
2,
stun
huh?
I am.
Can
but
you
I
stun
should
gun
stun
Victoria
gun
for going 3 weeks without having a stun gun story?
2 weeks.
Well,
But
we're
I
not going to
should
see you
stun
till
gun
next
goes.
Me?
No, I'll be back. I'm coming home on Saturday.
What do I do?
For making me feel bad that I'm missing out on the party next month.
Oh, yeah. I told her she picked the Backstreet Boy concert over the Junkie Gathering. How insulting is that?
Well, to be fair, she just met us like 2 months ago.
But still, it's a 10-year anniversary.
All right. We're going to get back to the calls here. Again, congratulations to Demetrius Johnson with his 10th title defense over Wilson Hayes. Just an incredible performance. He's at the top of the USA Today Sports and MMA Junkie pound-for-pound rankings. What I want to know, though, is do you feel he's the greatest of all time? Has he reached that? Some people were saying that on Saturday. I decided to make a post asking who your Mount Rushmore was of all-time great fighters. That's really tough because there's been a lot of great fighters.
Eras, too, play a part in it.
It does.
I mean, Hoist Gracie had his way early on, but a lot of that had to do with people just not really. I mean, you can't even call it a sport back then, right? So I don't know. How do you tackle situations like that?
I don't know, and so I guess you would have to get specific. But for me, I just wanted to know, based on everything you know and everything that's happened, and what I certainly didn't want to talk about was off the field transgressions.
Okay.
Just what you saw in the cage. Who are the 4 greatest fighters you've ever seen? And of course, the more modern ones are probably going to be at the top of most people's lists. Some I know hold a soft spot for some of the fighters from yesteryear, but what happened was a lot of those took fights at the end where they just, got beat up, and that's tough to erase from your memory. I think goes Demetrius Johnson, George St. Pierre, John Bones Jones, and Anderson Silva are it for me.
All right,
I thought Fedor got squeezed out, and somebody asked me why. The reason is because when Fedor lost to Antonio Silva and Fabricio Verdum, he was getting more consistent, tougher challenges then. And I believe that Demetrius has been at his best as a world champion. The same goes for Anderson Silva, the same goes for George St. Pierre, and the same goes for John Bones Jones. Whereas Fedor, because it wasn't really a champion, I mean, I know there was the WAMA thing going on back in the day and the Pride thing going on back in the day. But then when he started to face some of the tougher talent here, at what was still, in my opinion, still his prime. I don't want to hear this. He's almost 40. Well, he wasn't almost 40 7 years ago when he lost to Fabricio, or 6 years ago, whenever that was. That, I believe, kind of injured him a little bit. Now, granted, he had an incredible win streak, and he posterized some all-time greats. But still, we're splitting hairs here, and that's why I believe that it's these 4 now, and I squeezed out Fedor.
If you had to take one off of that top 4, though, who's that guy that got in at the end? Mine, I think, would surprise you.
Let's hear it.
Ask me. For me, Anderson Silva is the 4th guy.
Okay, who would be yours?
Well, it's the same one. DJ, GSP, John Jones, Anderson Silva.
Mm-hmm.
But Anderson Silva is the guy that guy that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there.
And the guy on the outside for me would probably be Fedor.
The attendance on Saturday night was 12,171. Total gate was 1,081,193. The bonuses went out to Tim Elliott and Louis Smolka for fight of the night. They got 50,000 each. And the performance of the night, again, 50,000 each, went to Demetrius Johnson and Robert Whitaker. Did you see Anthony Smith calling out Dana White?
Mm.
Said, hey, man, I had this KO. I went for it. I dug deep. Where's mines? Maybe he'll get a little check. I like fighters being vocal like that.
I like it too, but some people don't like it. I don't know. I don't have a problem with it.
Bebe que no
Get
mama,
yours.
no come.
Yeah.
And that means if a baby doesn't cry, he ain't getting breast milk. So I think you have to do it a little bit, do it respectfully. Maybe you'll get a little bit of a check, or maybe you'll be on the radar. Maybe the next time there's a tough one to call, you can go, oh, man, we can't do that to Anthony Smith twice. You see what I'm saying? You have to be a little bit selfish in this sport. In fact, you have to be a lot selfish in this sport.
I think you need to use the crowd and not the promoter. So don't talk to Dana White, talk to the crowd and go, what do you guys think?
Mm-hmm.
I think when you go, man, I didn't like that, I'm purposely not giving you one.
Could be. All right, folks, we're going to take our next commercial, and now I pose the question to you. Who's on your Mount Rushmore? I just want to know about how great the fighter was, not whether he was an a-hole outside the cage or what he's like to his fans. No, this is more performance-based because the Mount Rushmore can go in many directions, but all time, starting from day one all the way to last Saturday. We're not going to do this often, but I think every time one of the all-time greats fights, these lists get reshuffled. So I'd like to know again, what is your Mount Rushmore of MMA fighters? 866-522-2846. Take a quick break. We'll come back in a few minutes. Stay close.
Rock your body, yeah. Everybody, yeah. Rock your body right. Back streets back, alright.
Charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Well, Goes and I seem to agree on our Mount Rushmores right now. Demetrius Johnson, GSP, Anderson Silva, and John Bones Jones. I'd like to hear from you, Junkie Nation, 866-522-2846. Let's get back to the calls. I also have some notes that I caught up on this weekend that I want to share just to let everybody know I am listening and I do try and follow up. All right, Aaron from Minneapolis, been waiting the longest. What's up, Aaron?
What's up?
First off, just to touch on a few things you guys talked about. George, did you compare training a killer whale to like a Jack Russell Terrier?
No. My point was, I bet you SeaWorld probably has the killer whale show maybe 5 times per day, right? And there's probably about 10 SeaWorlds all around the world. And for the most part, everything goes smooth. But then maybe once every 3 years, a killer whale hurts its trainer. So that's my point.
No matter how well trained something is, it's still an animal.
Yeah.
I agree. I have a pit bull who's almost 16 years old. She's like the best, nicest dog ever, but I've always had to consider what other people feel when they're around her. I'm not going to have her off a leash because someone else doesn't know she's nice.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, that's more, being responsible of how other people feel. And, yeah, dogs are going to do dog things. That's what they do. I have the same exact opinion on the Mount Rushmore as goes. Anderson Silva, as great as he was, he had a lot of opponents that weren't the great, and unfortunately that's kind of the same for Fedor. Fedor had a chance to sign with the UFC long before he lost, and he decided not to. That hurt him, and I think we all knew that was the case. So he's got a lot of scrubs that he's beat. He did beat a lot of great guys too, but that was a long time before. And then I just wanted to touch on one thing. I'm really glad that Cousin Nick called in. It's great to hear him.
Yeah, it really was. I enjoyed hearing from him.
But we know, even with boxing, maybe not in Mayweather's case, but casual fans, I should say, they always are drawn to the big guys. I mean, there are people that would order Mike Tyson fights that would never watch Duran or even Sugar Ray Leonard or some of those guys, and that's the same with MMA. I love Demetrius Johnson. I mean, like his last 11 fights, which are all of his title fights, he's got 6 finishes. So he's probably going to finish his opponent. He's exciting to watch, but there's not as many knockouts. And I've watched a majority of my MMA with casual fans, and they are always wanting to see the bigger guys, the bigger names, even Tito Ortiz, after he was washed up. And that's just how it is. Unfortunately, he doesn't sell fights. It sucks, but I'll take it off here.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. Let's go to John in Boston. What's up, John?
How did you guys meet John or Brian?
What's up, Brian? How you doing?
Good, guys. Hey, I got a feeling that my opinion's not going to be very popular within Junkie Nation and all the hardcores, but I sort of put Demetrius in the category of fine art, country music, and yogurt. I just don't like it. And, I don't know what it is. I get it. I see the speed. I see the power. I see the jiu-jitsu. I see the defensive wrestling. I see everything that kid has. And he's amazing. But when he's on TV, after the first 30 seconds, I'm looking at it going, you know what? I don't care. And I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it. But when I saw that Whitaker and Jacare was on the card, that's the fight I thought about all day. I thought more about the Roy Nelson versus the Russian kid. And I actually thought to myself, you know what? If I get too tired and I fall asleep, I'm not going to be upset if I miss that fight. Again, I see all the talent. I just can't get into the dude. And you guys know somewhat about me. I'm a hardcore. I love this stuff. I've been watching it for, 20-plus years. I can't, in my brain, I can't find the on switch for that guy.
All right, bud.
Can't make you.
Thanks for sharing that. That's, that's probably as raw and honest as you can get for what a lot of people feel that are probably listening and just can't get in and call. Some people just can't get into it, and some people can't get into women's MMA, and some people can't get into Bellator, and some people can't get into 10-minute first rounds. There's a lot of things a lot of people can't get into, but I appreciate how he put it so succinctly.
Why did you just stop at 3, though? Exercise, Vegas. There's a lot of things he doesn't like, right?
Clearwater Beach bad guy. What's up?
Fellas, Clearwater Beach bad boy checking into the show. How is everybody?
Good, and you?
Guys maintaining, a little irritated that the call screeners don't know who the Clearwater Beach bad boy is. You're getting these kids right out of junior college now, or what? What's the story? They should listen.
Well, she was pretty close.
Hey, what happened to him?
I don't know.
Are we talking about current UFC fighters, the history of the UFC, the history of MMA? What exactly is the criteria again?
Just how great you were, man. How great you were as a fighter. Doesn't matter the era. I don't care if you were a finisher or not. And so basically I'm eliminating most people that never won a world title, because great to me is being a world champion, defending it. So, yeah, I'm isolating it to the all-time greats. That's how I think of, I guess, Mount Rushmore. Tell you what.
Well, guys, if there's four,
check it out. I know you're going to contribute to the topic, and I appreciate it. So hang tight. We got to do this sports update. When we come back, I'll let you talk all you want. Hang tight. Oh, shit, I accidentally hung up on him. I meant to put him on hold. Clearwater Beach bad guy, call back. I'll get you on right at the beginning there. We got to do the sports update. We're also going to talk to Brandon Moreno and Sabina Mazo. So it's going to be a fun show that's still ahead of you. And again, we'll keep talking about Demetrius Johnson. The great Demetrius Johnson got his 10th win over Wilson Hayes. Stay close. We'll be right back.
all'orizzonte mancano le parole. Sì, lo so che non c'è luce in una stanza quando manca il sole. Se non ci sei tu con me, sì. Le finestre mostra tutto il mio cuore che è acceso. Chiudi dentro me la luce che ho incontrato per strada. Trying to say goodbye.
You know, this is the most expensive ticket in Vegas.
Is it really?
Yeah, that dude. I mean, just for a cheap seat, I think it was like $800 for me.
I felt like it would be a sin at any point to even talk over this song. I was like, how long could I wait before I jump in? Is it really?
Yeah.
$800?
Yeah, that's what our buddy at MGM said. It's the most expensive ticket of any of the performers.
Wow. All right. One quick note here. Somebody had asked a few weeks ago if Neil Melanson was going to be part of Anthony Johnson's corner. And I stated that Michael Chandler told us that he was still working with Hooft and Melanson, even though they were at different gyms. And he wasn't so sure many other athletes. He didn't want to speak up on any other athletes. So I was going to ask him, just, hey, are there other athletes? Is AJ one of them? I didn't see much harm in it. But I wasn't able to connect with Michael. But if you watched The Thrill and the Agony, or if you just paid attention to the fight, you did see Neil come out with AJ. So AJ did have Neil Melanson as part of his camp. A few weeks late, but there you go. All right. Back to the Clearwater Beach bad guy. What's up, Clearwater?
Fellas, Clearwater Beach bad boy back on the second hour. Hey, guys, we're on hold. We're talking. People are saying different things back and forth. And I got a chance to think about my Mount Rushmore. Now I'm going to go with people that are at the peak of their pinnacle of their career and the height that they were at. You can't have a Mount Rushmore in any sort of MMA without Hoist Gracie. Got to be on there, just as George Washington was on the legitimate thing. I'm going to go with Ronda Rousey. I'm going to put her ass up there because at one time for about 14 fights, there was no sport athlete as big in the world. Then I'm going to put Tito up there, okay? And then I'm going to put Dana White up there. And there's your four. That's all you need. Who are you going to put GSP up there? He lost to a guy from a reality show. So you can make arguments forever. Those are going to be my four. Now, that's a personal thing, and if you guys fuck with me on it, I'm going to take Dana off, and I'm going to put Kimbo Slice up there.
That's an entertainment thing.
But I said performance-based, so at least throughout your call, I get where you were going. I'll tell you what, I'm not against Hoist Gracie because he went 9-1 against guys that were massively bigger than him. And he defeated many different skill sets with his jiu-jitsu. So he was able to prove that Brazilian jiu-jitsu could be a wrestler, a taekwondo guy, a karate guy, a boxer with one glove, this, that, whatever. And again, all while weighing 170 pounds, dripping wet. So I almost have no problem with that, and I like that he connected George Washington to it. Because I don't know that the Mount Rushmore means, these are the four greatest presidents. That's not what it means. I think that just means these four men were impactful, except we've interpreted it in different ways. So when people started asking, well, what are you looking at? What's your criteria? I just thought, well, rather than go with impact, I'm just going with performance, because it was coming off the weekend of Mighty Mouse. So obviously, Clearwater's is different, but I mean, it's wrong in that I said performance-based, but at least I got what he was getting to. And those are some powerful names. You could, honestly, some people could put Dana White in a Mount Rushmore of just who meant a lot to the sport. Someone could include Ronda Rousey and Hoist Gracie. Tito, I believe, would be tough to...
I get where that's going, though.
I do too, but I believe that he got trumped along the way by others. He carried that
sport for a long time on his back.
He did. This one's kind of subjective. Like I say, it's only wrong only because of me saying performance-based, but I guess if we're going to go into different... I mean, I just like that it was so bizarre. It caught me off guard with everything he said, but it wasn't bad. It was a good list.
Tito is that bridge to pay-per-view. Go ahead.
Right, he was the bridge to pay-per-view. And let me tell you what else Tito brought in, then I'm going to get off, and I got one more thing, and I'm going to let you go. Is Tito brought in, at the time, celebrities Nobody else. So Danny Trejo was hanging out. You started having the guy from Limp Bizkit, whatever that asshole's name was. You started Nicolas Cage. Tito started bringing Hollywood to MMA fights where before maybe you'd see a NASCAR guy or a bull rider in the crowd, or Tank Abbott was the biggest thing sitting in the crowd. So that's why I like Tito for that. He brought him into the television era, guys. But one last thing, my stun gun, I'm going to let you go, is I am very disturbed with what I've seen in this country, with what I've seen in sport, politics and everything, but nothing has irritated me more than the brass and the masses trying to keep somebody down for having breast implants, guys. I've been waiting for this topic. We need to get this out in the open. Nobody should be discouraging female athletes, especially female athletes wanting to get their tits done. Guys, that made me sick. Get your tits done, women. God bless.
Let it. So what he's alluding to, it's true. It didn't get talked about much because of Weidman and Mousasi, the controversy there, and Anthony Johnson and Daniel Cormier. Pearl Gonzalez, for a few hours on a Friday before the fight, was told she wasn't going to fight. Dana White stated that that's an old boxing rule. I don't know if even that's been changed, but apparently women who had breast implants weren't allowed to box, or maybe they had to go through more stringent testing. Who knows? But he knew right away that it wasn't going to apply for that state because a precedent had been set with Miesha Tate months prior when she fought Raquel Pennington. So that's why he was so disturbed that it became a big deal. The commission kind of made it a deal. They made their announcement, the media. They ran with that. But, yeah, I don't think I've seen women in many different sports that have been enhanced, had received breast enhancement, still been able to play sports. So, yeah, can't discriminate for that. All right, I didn't mean to pick on Chris from Fresno. It's just that, again, catching up on notes, it's funny, these parlays, don't get discouraged if you don't hit them. If you hit one, especially if you're taking underdogs, you can kind of lose the next 50 depending on how big the dog was and how much you're playing from. But what I've noticed is if you hit a good one, you can almost lose the next 50 or 100. Again, depending on how many fights and how big the odds were. So it's like baseball. You're going to go up to the plate and fail 7 or 8 times, out of 10. Marco from Waco had Whitaker, Rose, and Nelson. So Nelson stung him. A few weeks ago, he had Cormier, Mousasi, and Cote. So Cote stung him. Cote had his own parlay, himself, Weidman, and Johnson. So that one didn't go too well. Even if he had won, his other two had lost. Proteus had Mousasi and Anthony Johnson. That was just 2-team, and he lost. And then I had one that lost this past weekend, and it had Nelson in it too. So we all come close. I do try and write a few of them down. That way we can bust balls the following Monday or give you your props. I do believe, though, that quite a few people were on Whitaker, including Dan, Tom. Solid pick. That was a solid pick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For anybody that chose him. Did anyone on Staff Picks do it?
I think somebody might have.
Well, Matt had to because Matt went 4-0.
But, it's one thing to just pick something. It's another thing to give reasoning behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much everything Dan said was the way it played out. So I give him extra pops there.
Shout out to Big Jim, the silverback from North Carolina. He's running in today's Boston Marathon. In fact, right about this time, he should be running. Mm-hmm. Because about 3 hours ago, he was warming up. He was 90 minutes away. And this is a big guy, man. Special Forces for the U.S. Army that we met while we were in Afghanistan. And it was a promise he had kept to a fallen comrade of his. And he said he was going to run the Boston Marathon, and he trained for it. And he's running it. So good luck. Good luck to Jim. One more call here. Let's do Jessica. What's up, Jessica? How you doing? Jessica, are you there?
Yeah, Miesha Tate had her tits done, guys. Yeah, well, why isn't this on the front page of Junkie?
I don't get it.
There you have it. So back to Victoria's listening skills. Did he sound like a she when she called in?
Yes.
All right. That's
I think it might have been Sour Shoes.
Sour Shoes. What's that?
He calls into Howard Stern a lot.
Oh no, that was
No,
that
that's
was-
that's the Clearwater Beach bad
He's
guy.
a rascal.
He's edgy.
Oh, that was him again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Goes, what was the name of the website?
Exciting or edgy? Because that's what he is. He's edgy. That's so crazy. All right, go ahead, George.
What was the name of that website that tells us the history of MMA for today?
That's Shamat Carr's cousin, I believe. Let me look it up.
You don't know the name of it? Or it's
I
not a
think
website, it's a Twitter handle, right?
It's Twitter, yeah.
Do you know it? MMA History, maybe? I guess I
Hold
should
on.
just try that. It just hit me.
I'll pull it up.
Somebody texted me, do you know what today is? And I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, it's not the last day to submit your taxes because that's tomorrow.
The last big date was the Pride anniversary, right?
That was like April 8th or something like that. What was it? I want to know that for sure. Pride 34. I'm going to look that up. You look up that Twitter handle, please. Pride 34 took place on April 8th. I was right. So, yeah. Can't believe that was 10 years ago. Zulu Zinho and Butterbean were on that card. Gilbert Ivel was on that card.
There's
James
some-
Thompson and Don Fry were on that card. Jeff Munson and Fujita. It wasn't their best card to finish things up. I don't think they knew at the time that they were finishing things up. But that was the last Pride Fighting Championships. How about Mauro Ranallo out in Japan calling Ryzen with Frank Shamrock?
It's cool, man. The voice is just something that you can pin to Japanese MMA, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you could ever lose that.
Tatsuya Kawajiri defeated Anthony Burchak. Kind of bummed. I know Anthony really wanted that fight. He really wanted to win that fight. He left 2-2 out of the UFC and probably wanted back in a win like this to keep him busy, put a paycheck in his pocket, but also lift his stock to go back and maybe renegotiate with the UFC. Would have been huge for him. Amir Ali Akbari defeated Geronimo Dos Santos. Kyoji Horiguchi, former UFC flyweight. One of the top flyweights in the world, man. I'm not sure why the UFC wouldn't re-sign him, but he defeated Yuki Motoya. Rina Kabuta defeated Dora Perges. And then Tenshin Nasukawa defeated Francesco Gigliotti. We also had Satoshi Ishii defeating Heath Herring. That was a bummer.
He kind of got swallowed up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he just couldn't keep him off of him.
Yeah. And Yasuki Yachi defeated Darren Cruikshank. Knockout punch. That's Ryzen FF5, Fighting Championships 5. Sakura is what it was called. And that took place over the weekend. In fact, it was pretty much just a few hours after UFC on Fox 24, Johnson versus Hayes. We've talked about the big fights, including Demetrius Johnson in his 10th title defense against Wilson Hayes. Rose Namajunas defeated Michelle Watterson. Robert Whittaker defeated Ronaldo Souza. Hanato Moicano defeated Jeremy Stevens. That guy and his footwork and the use of spacing, his length, he just frustrated Stevens. And even though I thought Stevens was going to get a 29-28 out of all this goes, he didn't. Hanato Moicano got it. And once again, when it's close like that, you put it in the judge's hands. There is no robbery. There is no he's right, she's right, he's wrong, she's wrong. Basically, one guy just did a little bit more to impress the judges than you did. Therefore, again, I feel like the onus is on the fighter. A lot of people had Moicano winning, not just the two judges. It wasn't a robbery. Somebody on Facebook, it was either Alfonso Berry or Ahmad Rice. I can't remember. Somebody was saying.
I know what you're talking about.
Who was it?
I don't remember who it was, but they couldn't believe that. Maybe it was Showtime?
No. But they thought it was a robbery. I was like, that's not a robbery. That's just,
Well, if you
you
look at
just
Stevens-
disagree, but it's not a robbery. I mean, a robbery should be something where the next 20 people are on your side. You know, where you're calling for someone's head, you're calling for someone's job. This was just a difference of opinion.
Stevens had that face like he thought it was a robbery, like he couldn't believe it. I thought when they were going to the judges, I thought it was going to be close. I gave it to Stevens, barely, but I had that feeling that the judges would
Me
go
too.
the other way.
Yeah, me too. Alexander Volkov defeated Roy Nelson, 30-27 across the board. I gave you pretty much most of these winners here. Zach Cummings, Ketlin Vieira, Anthony Smith, Devin Clark, Aljamain Sterling. Any fights there that you jump out at you that you want to talk about a little bit more, or do you want me to give the Bellator results?
Aljamain Sterling, He got the victory, but he's not making that change. Like, he's not taking that next step. And I think he's so talented. I don't know what it is that he can't put it all together. But because I really do feel like him, Maya Quinta, some of these guys are just the future of the sport, and I feel like they will get better. But I think he's having mental blocks or something.
Rafian Stotts defeated Robert Emerson to claim the bantamweight title. It was a pretty dominant performance at Victory FC 56. Yuri Villafort claimed the welterweight title over Cassius Holdorf. EJ Brooks also got a win over Dakota Cochran. You're going to say something, guys?
Rafian Stotts is a guy that we've heard about for a while.
Mhm.
I feel like he's a guy that's going to make a jump. I know you had asked about MMA History Today, at MMA History Today.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is
So
there
today,
anything?
Today is Chris Weidman earns the first TKO of his career when he finishes Mike Stewart at Ring of Combat 24.
That's the big news?
I mean, that's what's for today.
Oh, well, whoever texted me, you know what today is, has an MMA background, so, I don't know. They're throwing me off. All right, Eduardo Dantas defeated Leandro Higo at Bellator 177. It was a non-title fight. Like we mentioned last week, Higo missed weight by 4 pounds, I believe. So it wasn't Dantas's most beautiful performance. It was a split decision, by the way. And honestly, it was one of those that could have been called either way as well. I did think they got it right with Dantas. If I had money on Dantas, I would have felt pretty good when they were announcing the fight. Excuse me, the result. But that wasn't a wow performance. Now, he did say, I trained for Darian Caldwell, for a wrestler, for a while, and then for this guy, and then not making weight and traveling. Excuse me, not my best performance, but still, I still think you got to go out there and put the stamp on and look like he wasn't trying at times.
He had the look of a fighter who wasn't happy with his performance at the end.
Daniel Weichel defeated John Teixeira, another split decision. Lena Ovchinnikova defeated Helen Harper. Adam Borkels, how you announce it? Excuse me, defeated Anthony Taylor. They also had some kickboxing out at Budapest. Fun times for Bellator and their two brands of MMA and mixed martial arts. LFA, Dennis versus Marcus in Shawnee, Oklahoma. Myron Dennis defeated Danilo Marcus. Dontel Mays defeated Demorio Dennis. So the two brothers, they're split, the Dennis brothers. And Sabina Mazo over Jamie Thornton. What a kick. You got to go to the front page of MMA Junkie, and you will see the head kick that Sabina Mazo threw. She landed one earlier, so she was eventually closing the gap on Jamie Thornton, who's 4-3, so she's not a shabby fighter. Former Army vet as well. Could be current, I'm not sure. But a member of the U.S. Army is what I meant to say.
But even if she said, like, here's a free one, just take it, I'm not sure she could have landed a better one.
Dude, she stiffened her up. I mean, it could hold up for KO of the year. Yeah, it's April, and there's been some good ones. There's flying knees. And
the one on Darius was bad. I don't see that one getting...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And plus, we still got 8 more months to go. But that was something else. We'll be talking to Sabina Mazo pretty soon on today's show. Tell you what, let's get a commercial out of the way. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. That's pretty much all the results from the weekend. We still have a couple guests coming your way, Brandon Moreno and Sabina Mazo. And we'll continue taking your calls at 866-522-2846. Big question of the day, who's on your Mount Rushmore for mixed martial arts, performance-based? I'm talking the great ones, the all-time great ones. Who do you think are the top 4 that you've ever seen grace the cage, the octagon, the decagon, the ring, the this, the that, whatever? We'll be right back.
I get paid to say things in this cool voice, and they get paid to be lame. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Kind of digging the songs. What's I know Vegas is the theme, but why today, Goes? Anything special about today?
Because she's coming to Vegas this week.
Oh, because Victoria is coming to Vegas. Gotcha.
It's her day to pick the music.
Ah, okay. You excited about your trip, Victoria?
Oh, yeah.
When was the last time you came
Can't
here?
wait. July.
Last July was the last time you came here?
Yeah.
What was that occasion for?
It was just a family trip. I went with my parents. That was
Very
exciting.
Cool. Well, are your parents cool?
Yeah, they're cool, and they paid for everything, so I can't complain.
You got your own room and everything, or you get to
Well, we
huddle up like
shared a
one big
room,
family?
One big family, you know. So, yeah.
We did that
Interesting,
for a
right?
while, but then after a while, like, yeah, man, Dad was snoring his ass off. Got to separate
Yeah, I
ourselves.
don't know if I could do that anymore. This might have been it.
That was it? That was a wrap?
I think
what,
so.
What
I
are
think
some
I
of your
might need
favorite
my
things
own
to do?
room. In Vegas?
Yeah.
The pool parties, gambling. That's pretty much it.
What's your
Eating.
poison? What's your drink of choice?
I'm not really a big drinker, but I do like martinis. Probably martini.
And then you said pool parties.
Extra olive,
Like you
pool
want
party.
You're hoping like Skrillex or Deadmau5 or throwing down on the wheels of steel?
No, I really don't care about that. I just, I think it's cool. Day clubs. We don't have that here.
Right. Which one do you go to?
I like Wet Republic and Encore.
That's a good one.
Those are my faves.
The Encore Beach Club?
Yes.
Yeah, that's money. They have what's called a Sunday night swim party. That's really, really popular.
Really?
So anybody that doesn't want to like get too burned under the bright sun, you do your partying at night, and that's like really, really big, man. People are in the pool and partying.
That's where I
I
stood there the last time.
They had I saw on Twitter some celebrities at Moreno this weekend.
Who was there?
Basketball players? I didn't recognize them, but
So from the ones that have been eliminated, the teams.
Yeah, probably.
Like so.
Like who?
The New York Giants. I don't know. I just remember seeing it and I go, oh shit! And I saw it from a couple different people.
You don't remember any of the names?
No.
You see, the Indiana Pacers almost took out.
They were with those girls, the twins from UNLV.
What twins?
There's
The
these
basketball
two.
girls.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess
What are
they're
their
pretty
names?
popular.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they,
Yeah.
So they're pretty or something?
Pretty. They are very
They
pretty.
sing.
And they play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What if they're 21?
I think one of them. I don't want to put things out there, but this is what I've heard. One of them, I know Drake went to one of their games, and
Right.
the other one was either dating or hanging out a lot with. Oh my God, the guy from the Pelicans, Davis.
Anthony Davis?
Anthony Davis, yeah.
Yeah. Those chicks have to
Dylan
be
and
careful with a drink in their hand or whatever if they're not 21. What were you going to say?
Dylan and Dakota Gonzalez.
Are they
The
good?
Gonzalez
Or are they
twins.
just pretty?
I think
I
they're
think
good.
they are. No, yeah, they're good.
Dylan and
They are
Dakota
very
Gonzalez.
pretty.
Are they tall chicks?
No.
6 foot, yeah.
Are they really?
They're 6.
No,
yeah.
they can't be. I've stood next to them. They're not that big.
Huh.
This is them.
They're 6 foot.
Are you going to put them up here or do I have to come over? They're twins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't think they look alike?
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. Guess they just had their hair did differently.
See, Drake spotted at Gonzalez twins.
Are these chicks like
Are they
like the
really
Ball
6
brothers?
feet, though?
Well, for the most part, I mean, I guess you have your fair share of point guards that are a little bit smaller. But yeah, I guess if you're out playing college hoops, you probably have some height on you,
That's big for a girl.
Yeah, I
6
guess.
foot.
right? But is it big for a girl
Well, no,
basketball player?
I'm just saying because I've been next
Depending
to
on
them
the
before,
position.
and I don't remember going, wow, they're big. Like I thought. I don't know. I need to see them again.
That's what I thought when I saw Cyborg in L.A. Not Cyborg when she came to
She
the
had
studio,
heels, though, remember?
but in L.A. she had heels. She went from like 6'1" or whatever she is to like 6'5". I mean, she was just towering over everybody. And she had one of those dresses that just showed off her guns and her legs, and with the additional 4 inches or whatever she had on the heels, man, she was just towering. It was imposing.
Gabby Garcia was pretty big too at Bellator.
Yeah. Well, Gabby's more like fee fi fo fum, kind of like that type of big, you know.
All right.
Well, almost like, you know what we thought of Andre the Giant? Like, wow, that's a big human being. Whereas Chris still just seemed like you give her a ball or she could almost, do anything athletically. Gabby looks like, okay, she's going to hit something and she's going to hit it. It's going to be pretty hard, whether it's your face or whatever, that type of destruction. Chris just looked like a superhero on that day. When I've seen her here in the studio, that day she was just wearing normal shoes.
I remember we all had the same reaction. It's like, wow, I can't believe that's big shoes.
Yeah, those heels, man. It buys chicks some additional height. And you're just like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden they take them off.
Like Tom Cruise.
Little shorties.
You got to wear them flats.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so we should be calling Sabina, right? Victoria?
Yes.
All right, cool. Let's get her on the line. Sabina Mazo took the world by storm, man. The MMA world by storm with that knockout that she had over Jamie Thornton at LFA 9. It is arguably the knockout of the year. A nominee. Because there's going to be some great ones. Yeah. But Edson Barbosa over to Benil Dariush is a good one. In fact, Dariush is a teammate of hers. She fights out of Huntington Beach at the highly acclaimed King's MMA gym. She's Colombian. That's why they call her the Colombian Queen. And she is not a jack of all trades, but apparently a master of many of the different martial arts and sports that encompass mixed martial arts. This kick, though, was really, really just perfectly timed, and the way her opponent stiffened up, man, it went viral. This thing was all over the place. If you want to see it, check out the KO on our front page.
Or just scroll through any social media, and you'll eventually run into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's everywhere. They
were at the Fire Lake Casino in Shawnee, Oklahoma. And I'll tell you what, man, that LFA is really, really cranking out the shows and really creating some stars. Going back to when they were separate promotions of LFC and RFA.
That went so smoothly, didn't it?
They literally have just done a lot for our sport. All right, joining us now is Sabina Mazo. Hello, Sabina. How you doing?
Good. I'm very good. Thank you.
Can you believe how this video's gone viral? Your KO's everywhere. I even have casual fans that may not have tuned into the fight, but at some point or another, they've seen this highlight. It's been all over the internet.
It's been viral. I mean, it's a good work I've been doing, so it's a good thing that everyone can see this and can watch my work and King's MMA work.
Yeah. Tell me about that particular moment. Earlier you had caught her with a head kick, but when you actually caught her with the head kick, what did you feel at that particular moment? Was that all-time high, that rush that fighters get when they get a KO?
Well, yeah. I mean, I felt really excited. My first thought was like, okay, I'm done, But you never know. You have to double check, So that's why I went directly to keep punching. But obviously she was down, so it was good. I mean, I felt really excited because it's been what I'm working on. So to see what you have learned and what you really want to do and just get in a few seconds, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going to be a hard moment to replicate. I'll give you an example. Years ago when I was younger, I went to Las Vegas and I won a lot of money. And so it was my form of a rush. I won a lot of money. I was super happy. And every time I came back to Vegas, I was chasing that same rush. Do you think you'll be doing the same thing, kind of chasing that same type of highlight reel? Will it be tough to be composed in your fights, having that you've set the bar so high?
Well, obviously going to keep training for that. I'm going to try to keep training for a good fight, to give everyone a good fight, a good show. You never know it's going to be the same thing, the same kick, or maybe yes, but the thing is that hard work always pays. And for sure. And I'm pretty sure that my next fight and all the rest of my fights are going to give my best, and it's going to be a good fight.
Aside from what you've read from people that have tweeted or left you messages, what about personally? What have people told you, like your teammates or anybody else involved in the sport, about that kick?
That it's been awesome. I mean, they all told me that it's a great job. They obviously see the process while I'm here working at the gym, so they really know how we do this, you know. So they just know that the hard work is going to pay, so they are really happy with me. My trainer, my master Rafael, he's also really excited, and all my partners are, I mean, as much as excited as I am.
Sabina, the Colombian Queen Mazo, is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. She defeated Jamie Thornton at LFA 9. You can see that highlight reel KO on the front page of MMA Junkie, or if you pretty much go on to any internet page today, you'll see this vicious KO that she had this past Friday night out in Shawnee, Oklahoma. All right, Goes, what do you have for Sabina Mazo?
Sabina, when we're all growing up, and depending on what sport we follow, there's always some kind of dream finish for us, right? You know, in basketball, it's that last-second three-pointer. In football, it's throwing that touchdown pass. You had something like that here in mixed martial arts, but are there any other ones that you've envisioned, any other finishes on your bucket list, like a flying knee or a spinning back fist? Is there more on that bucket list?
Yeah, I love elbows. I love knees. I mean, I really like striking. I love Muay Thai, so anything related to that, I'm into, you know. And also submissions. I mean, any fight is exciting, you know. Any finish like submission or any punch, it's going to be exciting for everyone, not only for me, but for the spectators. They're always looking for that.
I know they practice that a lot at King's MMA, and the one thing that I've heard about you is not just that your striking is good, your submission game is actually pretty good as well. Can you talk about your love for the ground game?
Yeah, I started training in Colombia, in Gracie, Colombia, and I learned everything there in the beginning. When I moved here in LA, I started training with Ricardo, the professor here at King's MMA, and it's been growing a lot, my jiu-jitsu, evolving and adapting it to MMA. So I really love BJJ. I consider myself a good BJJ fighter. So yeah, I'm not never scared to go to the ground or just stay standing up. I feel really comfortable with my game.
What was the reaction from maybe friends and family or former training partners in Colombia? I heard that mixed martial arts is starting to grow more and more in South America.
Yeah, it's been growing a lot. A lot of my family, my friends were watching the fight, and it also went viral over there. I mean, a lot of people know that I was like fighting, but they never knew like that level. So it's been growing. I see that more and more people are interested on the sport, a lot of gyms. So it's really growing, the sport. It's new, but, you know, there's a lot of talent over there too.
Your family, did they embrace your career from the very beginning, or was there ever any resistance?
No, they actually support me in everything. They are my number one sponsorships. They actually came to the fight. I always go to my fights. They pay me everything. I mean, I'm living in LA because of them. So I can't really say that they are bad sponsorships or anything, because of them I'm here. So yeah, it's really good that your family really supports you.
No doubt. How long did it take you to, I guess, be able to just calm down and get on everyone else's level? I mean, like I said, you must have been experiencing quite a euphoria there in the cage. You know, then they make the announcement. But I guess talk us through those next few minutes, just how you felt and how long it took for you to come down to, to everybody else's level.
Well, I mean, I felt really calm. It's something I really love to do. Of course, you feel excited and anxious to go to the cage, and a lot of people thought that because I didn't fight last year, I was going to be, like, nervous. But no, I mean, I train here at King's MMA like a fight, you know. Here, the work, it's hard. It's never easy. So if you train hard, the fight is going to be, well, not easy, but it's going to be also the same hard. So I got used to it here. I mean, a lot of guys that I train, they just give the best they have. So I feel really confident in my game. I don't feel confident that I'm just going to be a really easy fight. No, but I really trust on my game. So I'm not nervous when I go to a fight. I feel confident. It's the good part, you know. I train because of this. So I feel that a fight, it's the good part of it. It's the part you can celebrate, you know. You give it all. You give all the hard work of the month. So I feel confident. I feel my team really supports me, my family. So I always go there and give my best. So I went to the fight pretty calm, and I was watching what I could do, you know, and the perfect time, and that happened. A great kick.
You know, now that you're on everybody's radar, how do you want to handle the next fight or the next series of fights? Like, obviously, I'm sure you have goals of continuing to progress through the sport, but when do you feel like you're ready already to start taking new challenges, or are you still happy to be, I guess, progressing slowly? In other words, how do you make sure that you don't advance yourself too quick either?
Well, I'm not in a rush. I go step by step, like my whole career. I'm pretty young. I'm only 20 years old, so I mean, I want to take it with calm. You know, I don't want to rush my career. I just want to fight, give my best in every fight, be ready for every challenge I have. Whoever's going to be my next challenger is going to be good because I know I'm going to be prepared. So I'm not looking to just go for belts, for example. I'm just step by step, another fight, just get more experience, you know, because I know I will be ready for sure.
Yeah.
So, I'm not in a rush. It's a good career, you know. I still have a long time, and it's a good journey, so I will just enjoy it, you know. I fight because I really love it. It's not like I have to do it. I love it, so I will enjoy for sure every step of this career.
Did you watch Rose Namajunas fight Michelle Waterson?
Yes, I did.
You know,
it was a good fight.
Rose is young as well, and she got kind of pushed along fast, and I always wondered if that was a detriment. But she's been able to collect herself and just get better and forget about the hype and everything. So that's why I ask. I feel like a lot of the female fighters are becoming really, really good at a young age, and as long as they don't get rushed and they can progress slowly, I think that's the best route for any career.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I mean, I don't have any rush at all. I don't care if I take a long time to be on the top of the world, but I know I will, so I don't have any rush at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, last question. How did you find King's MMA, by the way?
Well, my trainer from Colombia, David Gonzalez, he used to train with Master Rafael back in Brazil when Shoot to Box was over there.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of the past. Yeah, so I mean, it was going to be the logic, you know, because my trainer used to train with him, and it was now my time. So I just looked, King's MMA, it was in California. My family could support me with that change. So I just decided to come here and train and also study. So it's perfect.
What are you studying?
I am studying nutrition.
Very cool. All right. Well, hey, everything's going great. And again, that was an awesome performance. That kick's going to be up for Kick of the Year, I imagine, in 2017, because it's going to be hard to top that one.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Knockout of the Year, I should say. All right, Sabina, thank you very much for the time. We really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right,
have
bye-bye.
a great day.
All right, see you too. Big thanks to Lou for setting that up.
Very mature, huh?
Along with the gang over at Access TV. Lucky for them, man. They got themselves a great highlight reel knockout on Friday night at LFA 9. Yeah, she is. She does sound very mature. She had a good pre-fight interview with Ron Kruk where she talks a little bit more about her background in martial arts. All right, folks, we're going to take this next break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Still working on Brandon Moreno. We're coming up a little bit against the clock, so we may have to reroute him. But we will see. We'll try and stay positive. We'll be right back after this break.
They were kicked off the set of The Fast and the Furious for being too loud and too good-looking. Once again, here's Gorgeous George and Goes.
You know, Sabina Mazo competes at 125, but because she's taking things slowly, it'll be interesting to see where she winds up as far as 15 versus 35.
Or hopefully,
or maybe the UFC creates 125.
They got to, right? It just makes sense.
I bet you the UFC took notice of that fight.
They love that stuff.
I think 125. Victoria, have you seen the lines? Anybody calling?
There's nobody calling now.
Oh, I got a guy that keeps insisting that he's been trying or something.
Calling the right number?
866-522-2846 is the number to call in. I think 25 should have been more of a priority than 45. I get that Cyborg's there, but did you see over the weekend Cyborg said, either give me a fight or release me. Now she's playing high-stakes poker. And I don't know that that's that great of an idea unless she's got feelers out there and maybe Bellator or someone else can pay, or Ryzen. Japan?
Japan, that's where she's
But how
going.
much is Japan really paying?
Dude, I think they pay well.
They paid well back in the day. Well, how much are they really paying now?
I mean, think about it.
If they're paying that well, wouldn't that Ryzen 5 have been a little bit deeper? I mean, I was struggling for some name recognition there on some of the fighters. We had the 3 Americans. I heard of all them and a few Japanese fighters. I get that they signed Horiguchi, but those Pride guys, they were taking home bags of money.
They took a guy like Heath Herring, who was pretty much done with the sport, and talked him into coming back. It's got to be something fairly serious, I think.
Perhaps. I don't know. But
And her
Cyborg's
friend
2-0
fights there.
in the UFC, and she's a superstar in Brazil. I find it hard to believe that someone else is going to pay her more than the UFC can, especially if she goes out there and wears gold. And no disrespect to Duran to me, but I think she's a beatable champion because Cyborg's bigger than her. And both her and Holm were tough for each other, but neither one dominated the other one where you go, oh, my God, this one's going to reign for a long time. Nothing like that. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't know if she's misplaying that hand.
Well, she's got a friend that fights there, right? Gabby Garcia's her buddy. So she's probably got a good inclination as to how much they get paid out there. I would imagine she would go that way. However, Scott Coker at Bellator, I think he'd do a really good job promoting her. You're right. I mean, I don't know if that would be more money than UFC.
She's already vested in the UFC, you know, the 2-0, and people know who she is, and people got to know exactly who she was very quickly. Ryzen is going to be a good promotion one day. I'm pretty confident of that because they have a blueprint.
Battling?
Huh?
Like battling?
No. They're just going to be a good promotion that's around. But is she really going to be that popular over there so that she can make some bank? I think at the end of the day, what makes people tick is making money. And I just don't know how much she's going to be able to make out there.
And the clock's ticking.
DJ Tony, what's up, buddy?
Coming at ya, gentlemen. How are you? Good morning.
Morning.
Hi.
Hey, listen, guys. In the immortal words of Sweet Brown, the wordsmith Sweet Brown, ain't nobody got time for that. Listen, I agree with, and I can't recall who the guy was that called in from Boston. It wasn't Russ. It was someone else.
Brian.
But I agree. It was Brian from Boston. You're right. I agree with him. I don't know why we have to be hardcores or why we have to, as someone else on another radio station was saying, how we have to have a palate for MMA in order to like the fact that there are guys that are like 5'3", 5'5", fighting at 125. Why do we have to have that forced down our throats when it's just the numbers show that they're just not going to sell out a pay-per-view?
Well, they created the division. He's doing great things. So it's not that they're shoving it down our throats. I think they have to do their due justice and promote their card, whoever may be on it. If I'm understanding your question correctly.
It's the division is the trouble for me, I think, because do you feel like Wilson Hayes is the second best 125er in the UFC? Probably not, right?
Right.
But that's the hand they were dealt, right? Demetrius has to fight someone. I think where they're dropping the ball is, and I know we say this all the time, but match him up against Benavidez. I think people
Who do you think will be the? That'll be a good question for tomorrow's show.
I think who they want it to be is Sergio Pettis.
Sergio Pettis.
Yeah.
He's got a fight coming up, right? Who's he got?
I don't remember. But I think that's what they want.
Well, let's look it up.
And again, you'd be fighting a guy that is probably not the second best.
Sergio Pettis is fighting at UFC 211.
Tim Elliott gave him hell. I mean, maybe you could do that again, but that's too soon for that.
It is Cejudo. Shit. Okay, that's right. It is Pettis versus Cejudo. You know, I mean, Pettis is marketable. He's Anthony Pettis' younger brother. Yeah, perhaps they are thinking that. And Joseph fights after this fight. He fights Ben Wynn in
That's gonna be a good fight.
June. So, yeah, the winner of Pettis and Cejudo, probably if it's Pettis, is definitely in the running. Cejudo, no, because this would be his first fight back. I mean, we just did that, right? Anyway, it's hard to figure out, Tony, but I think Brian from Boston's right. You know, there's just some divisions a lot of people aren't going to care about in boxing and MMA and in other forms of combat. All right, bud.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks a lot, and shout out to the Lion. No problem.
All right, see ya.
Shout out to who?
I'm not sure. I cut him off.
The Lion, I think he said.
All right, folks. That's our show for today. We got to bounce. Who's playing up here? Arsenal?
Middlesbrough.
Against Middlesbrough. Yeah, that's right.
Arsenal, yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations to Manchester United, by the way, who defeated Chelsea in Manchester 2-0. Chelsea's the first place team. They got held to no shots on goal. you believe that?
right?
Yeah. So the defense did well, and of course the forwards put away a couple goals themselves, 2-0. So they are still contending there on the domestic front, and they are alive in Europa. That'll be played on Thursday against Anderlecht again. All right, folks, we're out here. For Victorian Goes, I'm George. Go out there, be champions.
I'm gonna have me some fun. It cost me my very last dime. Here's my wine.